Hello, Steve White, Steve White's 89. Well, it's been 5 years since Madonna visited Australia on the Rebel Heart Tour, and I was just sort of reminded of this when some people were posting photos from the concert the other week, and I had wanted to make videos about the concerts that I saw, and I sort of needed an excuse, and I thought, well, the 5th anniversary is coming up, I'll do them then. And just with life, I kind of forgot and got busy, but I'm using this as an excuse to do a video about them because I wanted to talk about them, but it just sort of always seemed like, well, that's sort of 5 years ago. Why are you talking about that now? But it's the 5th anniversary, so that's what I'm doing. Now, the first experience that I had was with Tears of a Clown. Now, the experience started off very bad. It was announced sort of suddenly. We knew Madonna was coming, and we're all waiting and all excited. And it was announced suddenly that she was going to do a special concert just for fans to make up for all the years that she hadn't visited Australia. And it was going to be at the Forum Theatre on March 10th, 2016. It's supposed to start at 8:30. And it was supposed to be a very simple dressed down concert just for fans, with Madonna basically singing by herself, basically. So they did like a lottery sort of system where you would put up photos of yourself and a hashtag, and then you would basically, if you were lucky, get sent an invite. Now, unfortunately for me, I'd had some problems with some people, and I'd put my security on my Facebook and Twitter and all that to like private, so only friends could see my posts. So when I put mine up, they couldn't be seen. So I wouldn't have come up anyway, so they couldn't have sent me an invite, so I didn't get an invite. Now, I asked a few friends, and a couple of people said if they got tickets, they would give me their other, because you get 2 tickets. And one of them dangled it in front of me and implied that he would, when he never intended to. And then when they did finally release, send out all the emails telling people that they got a ticket, and he got one, he said, well, I'm giving it to my friend. Now, I had gotten some really good seats for the Madonna concerts, and this friend was convinced that I had some sort of in with someone and that I wasn't sharing it with him. So to spite me, he suggested he would give me his other seat when he never intended to. And he said, I gave it to my other friend because he doesn't have good seats at the concert. So, and that came the same day as my mother had had a serious accident. She'd not long been diagnosed with cancer, and she'd had an accident from the medication. She'd passed out, smashed her face on cement, had a broken nose, was just a mess. And I was in Sydney for Mardi Gras, and this is Mardi Gras weekend, and I didn't have the money to go back to see her, and she didn't want me to anyway because she wanted me to stay for the parade and everything. So I was in quite a state, and that on top of it just was horrible. So that's how Tears of a Clown started for me. Now, it got better. I decided, you know what, even if I don't have tickets for the concert, I'm just going to show up, I'm going to stand outside, I'm going to talk to the other fans, I'm going to give myself a memory so I can remember the event, even if I don't go in. At least there'll be something. And maybe I'll see her go in and out or something, you know. So I went, and I got there kind of early, and this was the first time I'd seen in the comments some of the super fans who I didn't know yet, just like their comments and that. And I think some people did like camp out front, so they'd make sure they were in the front, so they would get to be the front. And when I got there, they all had numbers. They counted out the first 100 people all had numbers, so they'd be let in first. It was sort of like an agreement between everyone, so they could sort of wander off and come back during the day. So I spent a big long time out front just talking to people. I met some of Madonna's biggest super fans from all around the world who travelled there just to see her. And it was pretty amazing because I'd lived my whole life being the only Madonna fan in any environment. I never really knew any other Madonna fans at all. And it was really, really strange to suddenly be surrounded. Doesn't matter. Surrounded by Madonna fans, and it just was really strange because I was so used to being the only Madonna fan. And these people, some of them had seen like 100, 150 of her shows. They travel all around the world multiple times. Some had been doing it since the Blonde Ambition tour. So it was quite an eye-opener. And everyone was there. The people from Madonna Australia were there. All my friends who love Madonna were there. All the people I knew who loved Madonna were there. Actually, there were a couple of people who didn't get tickets who didn't show up. And I said, just show up, just be there anyway. Maybe you'll get let in or something, who knows, but at least maybe you'll see her come in and out, you know. There are other people who came. Dawn French was there. I missed talking to her because I would have had to give up my spot. A few other people came. One of the Real Housewives was there, and a few TV and radio personalities and the dancers and all that came in. So I got to say hello to them and chat with them outside and that. I met one of her Japanese dancers. I can't remember which one now. Was it Iho or Bambi? I can't remember. So I can't remember the names of which was which. She was very quiet, very shy. She didn't say much. And it was quite an experience. And it was a big, huge, long line. And we met her dresser, and of course we met her manager, Guy Siri. And because of the Superfans, I met some of them as well. And when we were talking to Guy said, "Oh, is he with you?" To some of the Superfans, I said, "Yes, he is." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'm one of them. I'm with them now." Okay, that helped. Basically, we spoke to one of her assistants or something, and they got me a ticket to get in. So I was just amazed and shocked that I had a ticket and I was going to actually see the show. It took until the last minute for me to actually get in, though, because there was a bit of a stuff up. Because it was so last minute, they didn't have a ticket printed for me, so they had to go back and check my name and everything. And eventually they came back. They let me in 5 minutes before the show started. And I ran in because some of her unapologetic bitches from New Zealand were there, like Sharky, and I was talking to her, and I literally came in like jumping up and down, like I was so excited, and people heard this big commotion, and they looked around, and she was like, I bet that's Steve getting in. And I said hello to her, and I went down the front, and I saw a friend of mine sitting on, because all the dancers were sitting in a little area on the side, and I saw a friend of mine sitting on like a rail there. I didn't understand why, and then I realised he's quite short, and I realised he couldn't see, so he was sitting on the rail so he could see. So I chatted to him for a bit, probably too long, because when the show started, I was right at the back. I hadn't even tried to get a spot yet, because she'd been, this was around 1 or 2 o'clock, I think it was 1 o'clock. It was well after 12, maybe it was 1 o'clock, because the show didn't actually happen on the 10th, it happened on the 11th, because she famously was 4 hours late, because the doors were supposed to open at 8:30, the show wasn't expected to start until maybe 11. But the news was that the show was supposed to be on at 8:30. Madonna was 4 hours late, and she kept fans waiting 4 hours late. And it was a big international news item, and there was newspapers and TV stations had it. And there was actually a photo of the line, and me and my friend were in the line, and my mum saw it, and she's like, "I saw you in the line," and that was kind of cool. So that was all before getting in. She came in really late, and I was sort of expecting it to be later. I didn't realise I only had 5 minutes when I got in. I thought I'd have time to get down closer to the show, so I was at the back, so I started off at the back, but by the end of the show I ended up 2 body spaces from Madonna. There was my friend Israel, who was at the front holding the mic for her, and there was a couple in front of me sort of holding each other, and I was like pushed up against them with my head between their head basically, except for when I was taking some photos I had to lean back. So that was pretty awesome to get that close to Madonna. She came out in her she came out on a tricycle. Sorry, my computer keeps closing down. She came out on a tricycle. She rode around and she stood up. She did a little talk. She had some idea she could be a comedian at this point. I'm not sure why, but she was trying to do stand-up. She may have a great sense of humour and be funny, but that's a great difference. There's a great difference between that and being an actual stand-up comedian. So she did a little intro, and then she did Send in the Clowns, Substitute for Love, Ecstatic Process. She talked in between the songs. She said very clearly, this is rough as F, and she was talking a lot, and some songs she stopped and started, and some she forgot the lyrics and had to start again, and that it was just, no one cared, because for the most part we were just happy she was there, and she was sitting with us for, I think it was like 2 hours, I think the show ended up being. She's Behind the Bars, Nobody's Perfect, Easy Ride, Intervention, I'm So Stupid, Love Spent. She was supposed to do Love Spent. She did Not For Me, Paradise Not For Me instead. She did Joan of Arc, Don't Tell Me, Mergirl, Borderline, Take a Bow. She's supposed to do Tears of a Clown, and she was supposed to ride out on the tricycle, but she just crawled out on her hands and knees. And then No, actually, that was the very end. Maybe she did go out. I can't remember if she rode out on the tricycle or not, but she left to Tears of a Clown, then she came back for Holiday, and she crawled out on her knees at the end of Holiday, that's right. And that was the one I got really close for, because after the show sort of ended, some people I think left, and it sort of thinned out a little bit, and I got about 2 or 3 people closer, because I was about 3-4 body spaces from the front when she was doing the end of the show. And then just for Holiday, I got basically 2 people from her. Not close enough to touch, but close enough to really just look at her and be like, wow, that's Madonna. I'm this close to Madonna. I waited my whole life to see her in tour. And then as we were prepping for the show, which was on the Saturday, we got this surprise sort of concert that I didn't have tickets for, didn't have a way in, and I got in. So it was pretty amazing. The concert itself, okay, I'm up to 10 minutes, so I'm just talking about the concert. The concert itself was interesting. She basically was in a clown costume, sitting for a little table with some drinks on it. I Am Bambi came out a couple of times, but for the most part it was just her with the musicians in the background. She did some of the slow personal songs that she normally wouldn't do in the show because they're not, the big sort of show numbers. And there are a few moments. I loved the story about when Sean Penn was in jail, and Richard Ramirez, the famous LA killer, the Night Stalker, was in the same row of cells because he was basically in solitary or whatever because he was a celebrity, so there was danger like Sean was, so she had to go past this guy, and just about how he always had girl fans coming in all the time, and it was really creepy. That was interesting to me because I love serial killers. She talked about just a lot of stories in her life. Some of them, I should have been a bit smarter. I should have videoed all of her monologues and not really bothered with so much the songs, because a lot of other people were getting the songs and they ended up leaking online and that. So I probably should have focused more on the monologues, which are usually the only thing that differ in Madonna concerts or whatever, and they're the things that are sort of lost. So she had this moment because her son Rocco had run away from the tour, and she'd come to Australia without him, and she was fighting in court to get him back, and that's why the later concerts were altered, which I mentioned in the videos about them. So she had just learned, I think that day, because it was on a Thursday, I think she'd learned maybe the day before, that she'd lost custody and that he was going to stay with his dad. So she was pretty much devastated. So when she came out, she was okay to start off, but when she sat down and started singing songs, like there was a song she sung for Rocco, and she had a picture of him in the background, and I can't remember which song it was. I think it was Ecstatic Process. And she got really upset, and there was a moment where she just sort of was talking and she just sort of went quiet, and she looked like she was going to cry. And sort of everyone in the audience started, giving her positive affirmation, basically saying, look, he's young, he doesn't know what he's doing, he'll work it out, and, he'll it's going to be okay, blah, blah, blah. And it was really nice what people were saying, and you felt the energy go to her, and you could see that she was sort of lifted up by it. And whether this was a performance, part of the performance, or real or not, but then she perked up again and kept going, and it seemed like a real moment of vulnerability that she was sharing with her fans, because she knew she was in a room full of her greatest fans, basically in Australia at least, or around the world, because the real greatest fans actually travelled there just to be there for that, because it was a unique concert. So it was amazing. Like I said, by the end, I got pretty much to the front. There was only 2 people and Israel ahead of me, and Israel's is a given. He's going to be in the front. So he's kind of the front, actually. You don't sort of refer to the front. You all know Israel. And it was amazing. Like I said, she was so close. I got a really great video of her singing Holiday, because I had always dreamed of seeing Madonna, and in every concert I imagined Holiday was the last song she sang, like she did for the Girly Show. And I wasn't sure Rebel Heart was going to actually have that, because I didn't look too much at the songs and all that, because I had never watched the show online or anything. I just watched the Unapologetic Bitches section just to see like who was there for the different performances. But I didn't really know what the show was going to be until I actually watched it. So I wasn't sure if this was going to be the only time I saw her do Holiday. But it was everything I sort of dreamed of. Getting up front, seeing her up close, having her sing Holiday. It was amazing. It's something I'd waited my whole life for. So it was a great experience. But that was just the beginning, because there were 6 more concerts. This wasn't even the tour. So for those who weren't there, I wish you were. It was great. It's part of like music history, this concert, and I was there, and I'm just so glad. She did do another version of it at a fundraiser, which a friend of mine went to as well. A few of them did actually. So I made friends with Madonna for superfans, some of them. It wasn't as good because a lot of people there were just for the money and for the foundation. They weren't real fans, and she didn't get the sort of reaction that she was expecting, and it wasn't as good. I mean, it wasn't that the performance wasn't as good, but it also sort of undermined a little bit having 2 of them, but it's okay. I went to the first one, the main one, the real one, and I'm just going to leave it there because I'm at 15 minutes. I'm at 16 minutes. But yep, that was my experience of the Tears of a Clown show. It was amazing. Thanks. Bye.